Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode. And this one is a vendor spotlight. Today I have a special guest. Her name is Laura Cook, and she's with the Way Clinic. She does, of all things, remote healing. Like, how awesome is that? Because we are all looking for remote healing right now. So certainly not doing anything in person at the moment. And with the holistic markets being canceled in person, I am now doing an online summit. I'm really excited to bring that to you. It's going to be in a couple of weeks. It's on April 21st to 23rd, and it's online. And I have 15 expert panelists, and Laura is one of them. So I'm pretty thrilled to have her. She'll be talking about healing and doing remote distant work and all of that. So very excited to have her here, and I will actually just bring her on the screen with me right now. Hey Laura, how's it going?
Hi.
Hi.
Good.
Well, you're a very busy lady.
Yeah. I've got a full clinic happening, doing remote sessions with, I've been doing in-person sessions for a long time, but also remote. So yeah, I work with a lot of Indigenous communities up in northern BC. So I was living up there before I moved to Kelowna. So I moved to Kelowna in September.
Right. Yeah. You recently came. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so normally you would see people in your home, but obviously that's changed now. But then a large part of your business, like you're saying, is already remote. So you're already doing the distant energy healing work. So maybe you could share with us like what that is. Like if somebody was to come to you and be looking for some healing, what kind of things do you specialize in? How does it look? Like, do people connect with you over Zoom or something, or through a Facebook? Maybe just share a bit about your healing modality and what it is that you specialize in.
Yeah. I specialize in supporting people through a lot of different things. I do high trauma, but I also work with, chronic pain, chronic illnesses, and just some emotional support. I trained in a lot of different systems of healing and concepts of healing. And so, Reiki, Chinese medicine, understanding the 5 elements, working with meridians, working with different intuitive-based medicines was my favorite. So I trained in things like theta healing, body talk, body code, just really expanded as much as I could. Basically, when I was 24, I was in a wreck. A semi-truck rear-ended us, and I was a passenger. And after that, I started noticing that I was feeling other people's bodies. And that's kind of how I got into it, was that I could feel other people's pain, and I didn't really understand it, and my doctors really understand it, but I had a brain trauma, I had a nervous system issue, and over the course of my recovery, I found that holistic healing and alternative medicines really helped me, and so that drove me to really want to train in them, because I saw such a huge support and change in my own systems, and I felt so much better, so much faster.
So when you said that you started to feel people's energy and their pain, like, was that like you would just be out like grocery shopping? Is it kind of like, you see Long Island Medium and she's out and about doing her daily thing, and poof, she gets hit with like this message that she needs to give out? Like, is that kind of like how it is? Like,
yeah, but I had no idea what was happening, right? I just describing these different symptoms to my physio and my doctor and my different healer, different medicine people in conventional medicine, because I was not okay with alternative medicine before I started, on this journey. I was very skeptical of it all, and so all of my conventional medicine people, you know, were being told, I was being told by them that, you know, you must be, it must be psychosomatic, you can't have all these symptoms because you are young and you're healthy. And I literally figured it out walking through a SkyTrain station, and I started having this intense pain up and down my leg. And I was limping, and I was looking around, and there was another guy walking the exact same way. And that was kind of like one of the confirmations. And then, and there was no answers, right, within conventional medicine. So I was being taken to see all these alternative healers and, you know, priestesses and just whatever, and anything to try anything, Chinese medicine people, shamans. And that stuff started to work. And that's kind of where I got into the training, where I was like, okay, I'm feeling more aware of my body. I'm not feeling depressed and then anxiety. I didn't have my anxiety and my depression. I had these little seizures that would happen all day long. Those went away. So bit by bit, I was like really floored with how effective it was. And the healers, you know, taught me how to kind of work with that field of energy where I was feeling too much. And you can really understand the physiological effects of trauma. It's pretty simple to kind of understand it. Like when you go into trauma state, when you're in a threatened state, your nervous system kind of hyperreacts. So that's kind of what happened to my body, right? I got hit from behind by a semi-truck. And when you're in any kind of an accident, you know, people say, oh, my sense of time slowed down. All your senses change. Your sense of time slows down. Your eyes actually diverge looking for the threat and go back in again. And your ears open to hear the threat more. Your sense of smell heightens, right? And so people in chronic threatened state, chronic stress, are hypersensitive usually. Their eyes hurt, their ears hurt, they have ringing in the ears. Their body's very sensitive. They don't like the touch of certain things. So different parts of their systems are heightened. So that's kind of what happened to my body. Even our nervous system can sense things outside of our body.
Yeah.
So when you're in a threatened state, so say if you're a mom and you're out camping, you know, and you could hear something in the forest, your nervous system goes out and it could feel danger. You could sense it. And so that's kind of what it was explained to me, you know, in a physiological nervous system response, my body was hit and my body went into this threat response. But because I was knocked unconsciously, because the impact was so severe, my nervous system couldn't find the threat. So it's like, where's the threat? Slow down time, listen more, and then we respond. And the nervous system will come out of that threat. And what also happens when you come out of the threat and you respond, your body should shake it off. So you see animals and they kind of shake it off.
Yeah, they do that. They all get right to the end of their little limbs.
They get really excited about something, or they get really scared, and then they shake it off. Yeah, us humans don't normally do that, but we should. So in my post-accident thing, yeah, my ears hurt, my eyes were so sore, I hated the light. You know, and I didn't know this stuff was all part of it, right? Like these are just symptoms of the brain injury or the trauma that my body had experienced. But you know, looking back on it, it makes so much sense that I could feel other people's bodies and right, like stuck in that spot. Yeah, it's neat to kind of understand how I got to where I am and what happened to me and the nervous system, right? So there's a lot of other physiological responses that happen in the body, not just the sensory system. That's like the finding out how to respond. And then there's a whole nother layer of response in the body, right? The heart pounding, the tightening in the chest, the energy in the arms and the legs changes because we had to run and we had to fight, or we had to freeze, or like collapse, right? Like if the danger is so big, we fall to our knees and we surrender and collapse. for safety. Yeah, we're not supposed to fight in every situation or run. And even the gut, so the gut's energy is not important when you need to protect yourself or run or fight. So that energy gets redirected into the arms and the legs, the heart and the lungs. So you can imagine what a chronic stress response does. If someone is raised in trauma, which is probably like 70% of my clients are raised in high trauma. I work with human trafficked children. I work with families that have had, 3 or 4 sisters murdered and missing, because I work with a lot of Indigenous communities in isolated areas. I work with, a lot of children that have grown up through that. I work with the Indian Residential School Survivors Society and do support through them, and see the effects of long-term chronic stress and trauma. And that chronic stress and trauma is intergenerational too. So it's something that has happened from colonization and genocide. And that's not Indigenous communities. I worked with survivors of Chernobyl, from Sarajevo. I've worked with, descendants of people who've gone through the Holocaust, and they have that intergenerational trauma and threat response kind of turned on. And so you'll see things like heart disease and lung issues and digestive issues and even immuno issues that are related to chronic stress.
And that's something we're going to touch on a bit later today too, is the Immuno Inoculation that we had briefly talked about. And it's like, we got to talk about that when we're on the vendor spotlight.
Yeah, because I've trained so much in understanding the immune system, because it's very connected to trauma and any immuno issues and intergenerational trauma, right? People are like, my kids never went through trauma. I'm like, what were their parents and their grandparents' histories like? Because that will carry forward, right? But yeah, I've trained in working with, it's a homeopathic kind of blend of homeopathic frequencies of substances, and working with meridians and working with a electronic machine. I don't know if I told you about that one before.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
But go ahead and share it with our viewers, because I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, it is really cool. And it was one of the first things I got into, because it worked really well for me. And part of my my symptoms after the accident was that I had a lot of allergies all of a sudden. I was allergic to foods, and like I couldn't digest beef. I couldn't digest chicken and a lot of the proteins really well after. And, now that I understand more about chronic stress and the threat response, it kind of makes sense that my nervous system did that, and my digestive system changed, because it was tight. Everything was tight, right? So, working with the machine is interesting. It on its own, I felt it wasn't quite complete, so that's why I really delved into intuitive medicine. I wanted to be able to communicate directly with the body's energies and ask the body, okay, how do we get this happening? How do we get this body healing? What are the issues? Because I didn't want to depend on what I thought things should look like in a healing process. I wanted to have the body line it up and lay it out for me. And 12 years of doing this work, it just happens like in a session. Yeah. So what happens with the machine is it's kind of like a vaccination, but it's like on an energetic level. And so there's different ways that I do reintroduce substances into the body. And so we, there's in modern medicine, they use allergy vaccines now. You can have vaccinations for allergies, right? And the vaccinations again for viruses. And that's our kind of normal, right? Our normal thing that we get. With the machine, it's putting the substances into the body energetically.
Like an energetic vibration?
Yeah. And if we understand homeopathic, that's kind of what's happening as well, right? And so with this one, you're not taking a homeopathic vaccination, because there is such thing as homeopathic vaccines that people could do with homeopaths, right? We send it into the meridians in the body.
Mm.
And so the cells seem to shift and accept that new information in a different way. Now, I never say I cure anything. I never say that this is going to change your life and you're going to be free of any of your allergies. I just do that work. And some people I've worked with are like, I'm not sure if this is going to work for me. And I'm like, look, the experience is the most important thing, and how it helps you. And I've had people where, I've said, just don't pay me until we get to the 5th or 6th session, because it feels like we need to do it 5 or 6 times to work. And that's when you're going to experience shifts in your systems and your symptoms. And it's always happened. And they come back and they say, yeah, I've had changes in my symptoms. I've noticed things are, exponentially better. And they usually pay me. well, always. But I do help so much in my communities that I do my work, and I want to see people get better. And I've been working with Indigenous communities. I've been working with other knowledge keepers in the communities, and just over the years, feeling really supported. The First Nations Health Authority has me on call for trauma response. I've been invited to a lot of different caucuses with the bands and the health directors there, working within, just with other healers. And the beautiful thing is that you're seeing this work accepted, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's wonderful.
And people
very needed.
Yeah, and I feel like it's changing, slowly. Mm-hmm. Where this is real work. It does help people. It does change people's lives. It does. So the energy. So with the machine, I do kind of clearing. We call it clearing those energies in the body, and there's another technique using the saliva. I don't know if you've ever heard of that one.
The saliva test?
No,
I don't know.
It's where we use a bit of your own saliva, and we know that in our saliva it contains all the information within our body, right? So CSI teaches us that, right? Our DNA, our hormones, right? Like our bacteria, our allergies, like all the information in our body is in our saliva. And so in ancient Chinese medicine techniques, there's a process that they take some of your blood and they put it on energy centers on your body. Well, we don't have to do that. We just use the saliva. Oh. And so there's different energy points in the body, right? Like at the heart, there's a strong point, and that's mostly where we put it because of the thymus, the pericardium. There's all this heart protector stuff here, the immune system. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we have to put it in different points, and I'm always asking the body where those might need to be. But what that does is that the energies inside of the body start picking up the substances that are maybe questionable to the body. So the immune system starts to question, like, oh, what's this virus here? What's this bacteria? It's getting more attention into that system. So sometimes there's people I've worked in who have a low-grade fever for a long time. And it's a virus that's not getting kicked out by the immune system. Saliva and by the heart or by the belly button, and then a bit of breath work can often kind of kickstart that immune system into paying attention more. And most often after those kinds of sessions where we are doing some immuno work, there's fevers at night, there's kind of feeling not well, there's some inflammation response because that body's getting kicked into gear, right? And going, oh, who let this guy in? Let's kick him out.
So we've had I have a couple comments here. First of all, Melanie says she loves the beautiful birdhouses in your background.
Aw.
You just set those up for this. I love it. I'm like, yeah, you got the birdhouses. And
Yeah,
my
sister makes those.
Oh, and then Annie has a question for you. She says, 2 years ago, I injured my SI joint and have never been the same. Do you feel it's related to anything? Thank you. So we actually, Laura and I were talking, and Laura is going to be able to do some remote healing sessions with people. So if you are interested in that, type it in the comments. If you're watching on the replay, type in the replay. And if you're around in April 21st to 23rd, actually, I think, Laura, you're my very first guest. On April 21st, you're the very first person on as the expert panelist for the Holistic and Psychic Online Summit. That you need to register for, and I'll put that link up and in the comments shortly as well. So Annie has this question, and would you like to talk to her about that then, Laura? Or ask her some more questions too. She can type in, if you need any more info, she can type in the comments too.
Yeah, when something doesn't heal, and we chronically are holding that pain in the body, or that area seems to be not repairing, yeah, there can be emotional, there can be that, the meridian isn't running very good in that area, you're not getting the energy through there, even that circulation, right? Like I was talking about, the threat response, everything's tight. So sometimes if the body's in a threat response and it's holding tight, it's not going to get the blood circulation and the lymph circulation that we need in all the areas to heal, because everything's tense. And that's why I recommend people really look into meditation, yoga, but really like getting yourselves grounded, feeling the earth, and especially with the SI, right? Your sacroiliac is right at that root chakra and pelvis, and we need to kind of feel anchored and grounded. So the first thing you could do right now is just, feel your feet being pulled to the ground, and notice gravity in your body, and pay attention to your breath. And when I looked into, your SI thing that you're complaining about, I could feel like something around age 9. Some of the big emotions around that might be, it was sadness. So some kind of heartbreak or sadness that happened around then, that kind of is hanging out in that area, in that sacral energy. Also, the SI joint is very connected to the jaws. So you might have some jaw tension as well, just because we know that it's very connected. Yeah, and when you notice you've got this stuff kind of looked at, you're anchored, you're calm, pay attention to that area. What you can do is you could draw a line around it as well. And imagining that line exists where the pain ends and the pain begins. So you're just drawing in your mind, a line around the SI joint where the pain is. And then go back into that calmer place where maybe your feet are anchored into the ground. You could feel gravity pulling inside your body. So you're noticing inside, you're kind of going inside. My feet feel secure, my legs, whatever part of your body is the most comfortable, that's where you want to go. Watch your breath, and you'll feel kind of maybe a tingling. That's the blood flow increasing in your body, because you're actually getting your body to relax a bit more and come out of that threat state. But yeah, I would say practice some meditation, honor, where the pain begins and ends, do a bit more of that meditation. And yeah, the story, if you think of there's something around 9 that you kind of recognize as a hard to process thing, sadness or event, when we get older, that's actually when we do our neurological processing of trauma from when we're children. So now is a good time to kind of explore some of those things in your body pain, because those body pains always messages of those past traumas coming up. And definitely, let me know if you want to book a session. I am doing reduced session package for the time that our world is going through right now with all the trauma. It's like 60% off of a package of 4, because I know we're going to need to have a little bit of extended support. So feel free even just to book a one-on-one like free introductory. Again, if you can't afford to do that, we can talk more about your situation and make sure you're properly supported. We do have a team of healers as well. So if I'm not available, I'll usually kind of redirect my clients into one of my other lead practitioners that go into the communities with me, and we all work together.
Oh, that's excellent. Thank you. That's so generous of you, Laura. So I just added that in the comments that there's a special that you're offering to the viewers here, 4 sessions for $240. It's regularly $700. This is a limited time offer, and mention that you saw it on the show if you would like to book in with her. So yeah, if you've got any questions, if you'd like to have some healing done on you today remotely by Laura, you're welcome to post in the comments and let us know. Thank you so much, Annie, for joining us on this show. And I was talking about the online summit, so I'm going to put that in the comments right now too. So the Holistic Market and Psychic Fair has been canceled for April. Who knows about June? I'm not deciding on that yet, but it's not likely we're going to be doing very much of large gatherings. So I've got an online summit happening instead. So that is coming up. You do need to register. So please go ahead and register for that. There it is there at holisticmarket.ca on the website. It's a Holistic and Psychic Summit. There you'll see the schedule of everybody. Laura's one of our guest expert panelists. And you'll see everybody's schedule on there, the topics for the day. Let's see, I've got immune boosting and stress reduction. We've got a collective healing circle and collective group readings. So that is what we are going to be doing over the 3 days. And so did you have, Laura, did you have, oh, what was I going to ask you? No, I had it in my head, and then I was like, oh, I got to ask her that when we're back. Like, what is that? I was going to ask you about, I know you're so busy right now. Now, do you offer healing sessions to groups of people at this time, or is it more one-on-one?
Yeah, I mean, it's like a blanket session. I've kind of do, and we've done group healings where it's been smaller groups where we do in person. And like besides one-on-one clinics, recently it's just been where I go to do my outreach. So my outreach work is really intensive. I'm often working 9 till 9. They have me working with, you know, everyone in the community from elders to children, dealing with all kinds of stuff. But yeah, those clinics, you know, I'm traveling 50 hours up north to isolated communities, coming back down. So that's kind of just because I've been doing so much trauma, it doesn't really work great in groups to kind of be like, so what's happening? Where does this, you know, what this could have worked in this, we're going to work on this trauma that is really hard for you to look at. And doing that in front of a group of people is really difficult.
Right.
Yeah, we've done it. We've done energy healing and group therapy, and but mostly it's about helping people understand their own medicine, right? What are our own medicines? And that's something else that I wanted to talk about too, was helping people with their tools of what are our tools? How do I get through this time, right? Like there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of questions, and those emotions are big and they're powerful. And how do we get through it? I always ask, what are your medicines to my clients? So like, what do you mean?
Yeah. What do you mean? Give us an example, Laura.
So the medicines are kind of anything that help you feel better. And we have bad medicine. We had like bad habits that we do, or some people it's addictions, right? Like that addiction is there for a reason. It helps us cope through things. And so, I say that, alcohol is your medicine right now when I'm working with people in severe addictions. And once we start to work with the underlying trauma and help that release, those emotions and the trauma held in your body release, then the addiction isn't as needed. It's not, that medicine doesn't work as well.
Oh.
not necessary. Yeah. And so, generally, most of us are pretty okay with alcohol. We don't, have to reach for it all the time, but we have other addictions, maybe smoking, maybe sitting on our screens for too long, or, it's the medicines are the things that we reach for. So
foods, I guess, like the sugars and
So I always ask, okay, what are your best medicines? And it could be a place. It could be like, I imagine being, down at the water. I imagine that's my medicine. And when you imagine it, you're there. Your body believes you're there. So one medicine I often talk to people about, especially with a lot of anxiety, is what's your favorite place? Where is the best place that you can go where you feel at ease, supported, and calm? And it could be a place that you remember or a place that you're making up. For me, it's out at the beach. I'm starting a fire. I imagine I'm there. I'm getting my driftwood together. I'm getting my my kindling together. I'm lighting my fire. I can hear the waves. I can smell the salt. So you're connecting to your sensory system. Remember when I said when you have a threat response, your sensory system goes into like this hyper. You can trick your sensory system. Your body will believe whatever you're thinking. And so if you're having a hyper anxiety state, that's a threat response. So go to your safe place, right? That's what that means. That's a place of medicine. So your nervous system will start to feel that you're there, and you'll start to kind of relax at the shoulders. Your breath should change, that kind of stuff. Those other things of medicine are art.
Like
painting.
Doing art, like physically making art, or
even visiting. Even just staring at it, right? Like a really nice art book, where people do the Zen doodlings.
Your adult coloring books.
Yeah, because they get you into a zone, and that zone is a different state of consciousness than being in that threatened anxiety state, right? So for me, I do pottery. I love to sit on the wheel, and I've done that since I was very little. So it's a very connective, centering medicine for me. I love my music. I play a little banjolele. I go on YouTube and I find...
Wait a second. A what? A banjolele?
I'll show it to you on Tuesday.
What is that?
It's a banjo ukulele. They have them at Wentworth Music. I know you can't go there right now, but they have them there.
Sorry, sorry to interrupt. I just had to make sure I heard that right.
And even telling people about it, that's medicine. You get a little bit of laughter, right? Like laughter, they say laughter is medicine, art is medicine, going for a walk, petting a dog, and I'm out and about, I'm like, hey, puppy medicine. I want to play with that puppy.
Yeah.
I want to hold your baby, right? Like these are things that just bring joy to our bodies, and everything slips away. So what can happen is we get really stuck in these places of sadness and in those emotions, and we don't see our medicines. So it's really important to try to make a list of that. What are my medicines? How do I find them? What does really help me? I'm sober, and I used to love drinking wine, but with my brain injury, not such a good thing anymore. So I remember feeling like I just going through a lot of stress. Like I come home from a tour, it's like 20 days sometimes, nonstop, working with people day in, day out. And just like sitting at home alone. I'm like, I should just go buy a bottle of wine. I was like, wow, okay. I caught myself. I was like, whoa, that's not my medicine anymore. What is my medicine? It's like, do I want water? Just want a big glass of water? Do I need to go outside? Do I need to, what do I need to call friends? How am I going to change my my state of mind right now? And I felt it in my body to just play music. And so I was saying, I go on to YouTube, and there's all these free like ukulele play along, and you just have to learn the little, like some songs are like 3 chords, and you're like, and I just rock out, and I just
That's
like go
doable.
yeah, it's easy, and ukuleles are pretty cheap, and so yeah, I think it's a great medicine for me. Anyways, everybody has medicine, and sometimes I do ceremony, have a little fire medicine ceremony. Especially when I'm in tour with my other healers, we get together and with the people in the communities and talk about how that helps to release things. You can go to the water and just imagine the stress going into the water.
Yes, or like being under a waterfall and having that coming down and just taking junk with it.
Yeah. And the big questions people have are like, well, how does it work? Like, it's your imagination. That's all I do. I just imagine these things, and your body connects into it, and yeah, works. And
that's awesome. Thank you for sharing with all of that. So I'm actually nearing the end of our show here. So I'll just put your contact info up here on Facebook and Instagram if you'd like to get a hold of Laura. Her business name is Way Clinic, the Way Clinic. So you'll be able to find her there, and also able to find her on holisticmarket.ca, because I still have everybody's contact info on there. You can do a search for Laura, you can search for Way Clinic, and she'll show up with all contact info on there too. Okay, so I'll just wrap up then. Thank you for being on the show, Laura. Just stay in the studio for a second. I'll just have a word afterwards.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks,
you're
everyone.
welcome. Thank you. Okay, and so yeah, so as I was saying earlier, I gotta get these things off here. What I was saying was that the online summit is coming. The registration I did post in the comments, so be sure that you go check that out and make sure to register, even though it's free. It is a 3-day event. Viewings will be available for 48 hours, at which point they will become available for purchase. So make sure you take advantage of the free viewing, and then being able to integrate that. If you like to, you can rewatch that as well. So the registration's on the website, holisticmarket.ca, and it is the Holistic and Psychic Summit. It is a 3-day event. It will be broadcast right here live in Facebook land, as well as on YouTube. And I have 15 expert panelists coming on board over the 3 days. And the topics are boosting immune systems and stress management. We have a collective healing circle and collective readings as well for people. So something for everybody. You can watch all 3 of them, or pick which one you find resonates best with you. It's interactive. You'll be able to comment and let us know any questions that you have during it. And thank you so much for everybody for watching today. We'll see you next time. Bye.